Crime Feast. True crime stories.
This is the story of Mitchell Johnson, aged 13, and Andrew Golden, aged 11, on the 23rd of March 1998, in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Johnson and Golden loaded up a gray Dodge minivan belonging to Johnson's mother. They packed up some tents, sleeping bags, other camping equipment, and some food supplies. The next morning, Johnson sat at breakfast and told his mother, stepfather, and little sister a story about when his class were singing at a nursing home. An old lady kept twisting his ear to make his voice higher. They all had a good laugh at this, and Johnson seemed to be in high spirits, just as he would have been any other morning. After finishing his story, he realized that he had now missed the school bus. "It's okay," he told his mother. "Dad is giving me a lift to school." His mother, who was running late, was happy to hear this, so she kissed her son and left. But Johnson had not asked his stepfather for a lift. Instead, he waited for Andrew Golden to arrive. The pair then got into the minivan they had loaded the night before and set off. They had to stop at 3 different places before someone would let them fill up with fuel. With the car now fueled up, they next headed for a house belonging to Golden's grandparents. When they arrived, they double-checked that no one was home before letting themselves in and heading for the gun cabinet. They took several rifles, revolvers, and pistols and loaded them into the minivan with a whole load of ammunition. The pair then set off again. The next destination on the duo's travels was Westside Middle School, where Golden and Johnson were students. On arrival, Johnson headed to the wooded area beside the school while Golden went to the school building. It was just after 12:30 p.m. when Golden set off the school fire alarm before running back to join Johnson in the woods. They were pretty well hidden, helped by the fact both were wearing camouflaged clothing. The students and teachers exited the building completely unaware of what was about to happen. At 12:41 p.m., the pair opened fire. As confusion and terror ripped through the school, children ducked and ran for cover while others were caught by the rain of bullets. A teacher, Shannon Wright, sacrificed herself by shielding an already wounded student. The doors, which had locked from the inside when everyone exited the building, were opened and students were led to the school gym hall by other teachers who had realized what was happening. Even in the gym hall, they could still hear the bullets hitting the brick wall outside. Teachers and a few uninjured students pulled some victims inside the building. When the shooting stopped, the boys fled through the woods, heading back to the minivan they had parked about half a mile away. Police caught up with them before they could reach the vehicle and detained them before they had a chance to turn their guns on the officers. Soon after, the police found the minivan and discovered the food supplies and survival gear, leading them to believe the boys planned to disappear after the shooting. Back at the school, the devastation of the shooting was now clear. 1 teacher and 4 students were dead, another 10 were wounded, including another teacher and Golden's own cousin, Tristan McGowan. Whilst awaiting trial, Mitchell wrote a letter to the family of the victims he read out at the beginning of the trial. He said that he was sorry, and he had not aimed at anyone. He then dropped his head and read what he had written. "Hi. My name is Mitchell. My thoughts and prayers are with those people who were killed or shot, and their families. I am really sad inside about everything. My thoughts and prayers are with those kids that I go to school with. I really want people to know the real Mitchell someday. Sincerely, Mitchell Johnson." As the youths were ages 11 and 13, they were tried as juveniles. During the trial, it was said that Andrew Golden had a stable environment growing up. He was raised by his mother and father, Jacqueline and Dennis Golden, in Jonesboro, where the shooting had taken place. Both parents were postal workers. Mitchell Scott Johnson was born in Rochester, Minnesota, and raised by parents Scott and Gretchen Johnson until he was 7 years old. His parents divorced when he was age 7. Johnson, his brother, and his mother then moved to Jonesboro, where his mother met Terry Woodward whilst working as a correctional officer. Woodward was an inmate when Gretchen first met him while working. Most adults described Johnson as quiet and respectful. He had a healthy relationship with his mother and stepfather. Johnson had also been a member of the youth choir at a church in Jonesboro. During the trial, Johnson's attorney claimed that at the ages of 6 and 7, Johnson was sexually abused whilst at daycare. Johnson had been charged the year before the shooting for sexually molesting a 3-year-old girl. However, the record was expunged in the case because of his age. Both youths were found guilty, and in August 1998, they were sentenced to the maximum Arkansas law would allow. Judge Ralph Wilson stated, "This is a crime where the punishment won't fit the crime," before ordering Mitchell Johnson and Andrew Golden to be incarcerated until the age of 21. Johnson was released in 2005 and Golden in 2007. After his release, Andrew Golden changed his name to Drew Douglas Grant. He married Stephanie Grant in 2017. They had 1 child together. His whereabouts were unknown until he applied for a concealed weapon license under his new name. but fingerprints alerted police to Golden as he was prohibited him from owning a firearm. At that time, he was living in Missouri and attending Batesville Community College. In July 2019, Andrew Golden was killed while driving his 2017 Honda CR-V down Route 167 in Independence County. A Chevrolet Tahoe traveling the opposite direction crossed lanes and collided head-on with Golden, killing both drivers. Golden's wife and child were also in the car at the time but survived. Mitchell Johnson was arrested on January 1, 2007, less than 2 years after his release. It was a traffic stop made by ATF agents who found Johnson in possession of a loaded 9mm pistol and a small amount of marijuana. The driver of the van Johnson was stopped in was Justin Trammell. The pair had met in 1999 at Alexander Youth Services Correctional Facility when Trammell was convicted of murdering his father with a crossbow. The men were now roommates and had provided the officers with the same address. Trammell was released after being cited for careless driving. Johnson was released later, after posting a $1,000 bail. Just a few days later, Johnson was again arrested at his work in a convenience store for possession of marijuana and having a stolen credit card. In September 2008, Jim Larry Hendren, a U.S. district judge, expressed his disbelief that Johnson had not taken advantage of his chance to reform before sentencing him for the gun and drug charges. He told Johnson, "No matter your sentence, you still have a life. Those killed in 1998 do not." He was sentenced on November 14 to 12 years in prison. 2 months later, he was back in court for theft by receiving and financial identity fraud. Before handing down the sentence, Circuit Judge William Storr told Johnson, "You continue to run afoul of the law. I'm hopeful this will be the last time." He gave Johnson another 6 years, bringing his total to 18 years in prison. Then in February 2010, the Arkansas Supreme Court granted Johnson leave to appeal his sentence because the judge should not have mentioned the school shooting during his trial. It was reported by ABC News that Johnson was released on parole in 2016 and placed in a drug rehab center in the Southern District of Texas. The last time Johnson popped up was when he was booked into Montgomery County Jail in Texas for unauthorized use of a vehicle. Now free, only time will tell whether Mitchell Johnson will now live by the law, though I wouldn't count on it.
Crime Feast. True crime stories.